Video for In Bloom, awesome video. We're going to talk about it. We've got so much to get to. I want to talk about the album. Congrats, guys. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
I had a chance to hear the whole thing. But first things first, how you guys doing? How's New York treating you? How you holding up, doing the tour, getting the word out?
We already got here last night,
Yeah.
right? But it's been beautiful so far.
Yeah, New
Nice
York
day.
always
Can't
treats us
complain.
well. Always good shows, good time. Obviously, I don't know how you couldn't like. Well, actually, no. There's definitely reasons not to like New York, but they don't affect us. Yeah, it's always good for us to come here.
Sun's out, so no complaints.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, the album, we're on the precipice, man. It is almost here. It is so close. People can feel it. Is this a hard time? Is this a nervous time? Are you guys, are you anxious? Are you excited? What are you? Let's go around the room and talk about how we're feeling on the eve of release here. We're so close.
I'm feeling very confident.
Yeah?
Oh, there you go. All right.
I'm feeling good about it. I'm excited. We've all worked so hard on this record, so I'm just stoked to like show everybody what we've been up to.
I don't think we get too like nervous about this kind of thing. You know, like, we know what it sounds like. We know we're happy with it. We're proud of it, and it's just excitement at this point.
Yeah,
I think
it's excitement. Obviously, it's a little bit nerve wracking. Obviously, putting out new music is always going to be a little bit nerve wracking, just because you hope people like it. You put your heart and soul into a record, and you just hope that it does well for you, and that people kind of understand where you're going with it. Especially because we tried something a little bit different on this record. Nothing too far out, but we've definitely tried to develop the sound, and so far people seem to be loving it. So I'm just hope that I'm pretty confident that people are gonna enjoy the record. Yeah.
For sure. I saw you had your mic poised.
I was just saying the same. Like the response so far has been like amazing. So I'm just excited more than anything now, personally, really.
Yeah, I felt nervous more before we released anything off the album, and then we hit the 2 singles straight out, and then the response was great. We did Motion, and like now when Bloom's out, I'm just stoked for everyone to hear everything now. If everyone's into everything that's out now, then
it's going to be a good ride. Well, I can say with confidence too that you guys have every right to be excited and confident. Everyone's going to love it. Let's go to touch on something you said though. You did try something a little bit different. You touched on that slightly there, and I want to get into that for a second because your last release on record has come from a place of infinite sort of optimism, and this one you've grown a little, you've changed a little. Talk a little bit about the intentions going into this record and what you guys were hoping to do and set out to do.
Well, I think, Life's Not Out to Get You was a great record, and we know that it was a great record, and it's kind of in its own little time capsule. I think that album for the time and for where we were at as people and as a band was the perfect record for us to make. I think we really nailed the pop-punk sound, and, we're still a pop-punk band, and we still will always hold on to that, and we'll still always, we'll never turn our back on it, and, I know some people think it's kind of lame pop punk. They'll tell you that pop punk kind of sucks or whatever. It's not cool, but
none of those people are in this room right now.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank God.
Yeah, we're all in this together. Yeah. But some people might say that, but we'll never turn our back on that. But yeah, it was time for us to we did it. We did pop punk very, very well, and so it was time for us to show what we could do outside of that. Maybe push our sound a little bit and really kind of leave us in a position where we don't really get pigeonholed into any one genre, and it kind of we can just be neck deep. That was really the aim, is to just kind of mature our sound, develop our sound, and we all went through a fair amount personally that kind of contributed to the different sound, and maybe the different lyrical approach to the record was kind of different, because we all kind of experienced our fair share of not so cool things. So yeah. Right. Yeah, and that's what kind of went into making it this slightly different record.
When writing the lyrics and when getting into the tone and tenor and kind of figuring that out and touching on those not so cool things, was there a hesitation to include that and to sort of, well, you know what, our last album was optimistic, we're an optimistic pop-punk band. Like, was there a moment of denial before embracing, you know what, let's be honest, let's do what we do and push it in a different direction and embrace this, whether it's, painful or not? Yeah,
for sure, yeah, obviously, it's quite a jump to go from Life's Not Out to Get You, like you said, was kind of this unlimited optimism into a record that kind of looks at the reality of the situation, and not that being optimistic is unrealistic, but the very name of the album kind of says it all. It's the peace and the panic. You can't have one without the other. Everything kind of has a balance, and everything works in conjunction with each other. And it was kind of that realization, and I don't think we've strayed too far away from the positive message. There is still that, that underlying tone throughout the record,
It's like looking at the positive stuff, the negative stuff, sorry, in a positive way, and kind of like putting it out there to talk about it, deal with it, and embrace it, and then like put a positive spin on it and move past it, and kind of, you know what I mean, rather than kind of like wallowing in it. It's like talking about it with the aim of getting past it and that kind of thing, I think.
Well, one of the things, we were talking about this backstage of this record, the more you listen to it, the more it kind of sinks its hooks into you, and you really get connected to it, is the honest vulnerability that you guys show on some of these tracks. Because this album by no means is like a dark, downer, or pessimistic album at all. No, not the case whatsoever. You tackle serious and heavy shit with honesty, which is a really nice thing to have and a really fun thing to have that you can sink into and connect as a consumer of music and as an artist as well. Was that something that you realized you tapped into, or is it something that just happens naturally? You can't manufacture that. You just got to do what you do.
It's pretty natural, my personal opinion. It's kind of one of those things that, like, you know, if you're going to sit down, you're going to try and talk about something like this or write about something like this, there's no point kind of going halfway in and kind of touching on it. It's kind of like, put it all out there or don't. That's kind of my opinion. And, you know, I don't think it was like a conscious choice, like, oh, it'll be sick to write a song about this, or, you know, we should touch on this. It's just like anyone who writes music or is into kind of that kind of process will probably feel the same way, in that you write it because it's just, you can't help but write it. You know what I mean? It's just like you want to sit there and you're listening to the song, or you're trying to write something, like that's what you're thinking about. So that's what you write about. And, you know, I think that you just have to be honest with it, and it can be a really good way to, you know, like we were saying before, like accept it and embrace it and kind of deal with it in a way. So it's not like a, you know, manufactured thing or a kind of thought out, like we should write a song about this or this or this. It's just kind of like comes quite naturally, I think.
Yeah, it's always been a therapeutic thing to write music, and you know that's one of the things that people always say about our music is how much it's helped them through tough times, and you know it helped me through tough times, and so I guess you know that's kind of the point, and like it helps me with my lyrics, like getting things off my chest, and in turn it helps our audience, and I think you know if we can carry on in that same vein, but maybe try it in a slightly different way, maybe in a way that is, you know, us being more honest, us being kind of more realistic, you know.
Well, there's something really cool that does happen through that. You know, it's kind of almost counterintuitive in a way that one would imagine, writing the song and then having to relive that moment night after night and touring it out and playing it out would be the opposite of therapeutic, but it actually does help you process it and understand it more, and it helps other people sort of connect and process it as well. Let's go back. Day one, you walk in the studio, you know you have all these things on your mind. Where do you guys start? Are you walking in with riffs? Are you sitting around and jamming out ideas? How does the Peace and the Panic get started? What's its impact?
It started a long time ago. We started writing December 2004. Was it 15? 15. The first half of In Bloom got written.
In Bloom was the first thing that was going to be for this album.
It kind of stayed as a minute 20 of an audio until 2016, late 2016, I guess. And we did different things writing individually. We got like a studio house thing in Wales for us all to go together for 10 days and kind of write together, pull out of each other. Because there's a lot of musical differences and ideas that we all have. Everyone's got super different influences, from like heavy to, straight pop. So getting all together in a room and kind of seeing where everyone was at was super important, and we didn't really get too much from it. We got maybe a song or two.
We got very good at darts.
But yeah, we got loads of stuff.
And pool.
But it was super important to kind of see where everyone was at and then walk away and go, okay, that's where that's where everyone's at. Let's try and come somewhere in the middle of all this scattered, ideas. And that's kind of what happened. And we ended up them writing individually, then getting together, or then a few of us getting together, or sending things back and forth. And then we ended up going in the studio with over 20 songs.
Wow. No way.
And like a bunch of parts. And day one, we sort of thought, we'll sit with Mike Green, who's the guy that produced the album with us, and sort of think, what are we going to do today? Probably listen through everything. And we walked in, he said, right, I think we should start with this song, which is Where Do We Go? And it was just over 2 minutes long. We hadn't even fully finished it yet. And he was like, I love this. Personally think we should maybe change this bit. And that day we finished the song. We recorded the entire song, bar drums, I guess, that day. We kind of
like a song a day with him, basically.
Yeah, it was great. We just jumped straight in and just kind of picked the best things and
Mike and Neil, I was reading about it. So they both kind of played two different roles in sort of the pushing this album out, helping you guys. And it sounds like, so you had these 20 demos, and then these guys come in. Did Mike and Neil come on at the same time? Was it Mike first? And then if you could talk a little bit.
Neil
too.
mostly just was involved in the mixing. Like he would come into the studio and listen to stuff and kind of be like, I think this song needs to be explored more, or this song I'm not so sure about. But generally speaking, it was kind of Mike who produced the album, and you know, that process with us was like he was saying before. We had a big library of songs and parts and demos and verses and choruses and things that we had, and we'd sit there and we'd listen to it, and he'd either think this is good and we should work on it, or let's maybe come back to this one, and then we'd just open it up, and that day just solidify it into a song, you know, and then it would be, you know, sent over to Neil for the mixing process.
Was Mike a little more, a little less hands-on, hands-off than like what you guys were used to in the past? Because like for people that aren't in the studio, they don't work with the producer, they don't understand that role. A producer is crucial to that process because he can really guide you guys through, make suggestions, tweak compositions and things like that.
It was fairly similar.
He was actually as involved as you wanted him to be.
Yeah.
He would really we could sit there with him and you know. If we were on a roll with something, he would kind of sit there and let us figure it out. But if we were ever stuck, that was, you know, if we were ever stuck and we kind of looked at him and, you know, where do we go from here? He was happy to kind of to give his input and, you know, but was never forceful with it. So yeah, you know, as much as you wanted him to be involved, he was there. And Guy's musical knowledge is insane. Like
he's like 10 steps ahead of everyone.
Oh yeah, he's a crazy person. I remember like early on, I went to his studio to talk to him when we'd kind of solidified that he was going to do the record, and I happened to be over where a studio is by myself, and I went over there and played him a few of the demos, and he's the kind of guy, like, he sits there with a guitar, and we're like 3 seconds into playing a song, and he's like playing along the lead riff on guitar. I'm like, you haven't even heard it yet. Like, how do you know where it's going to go? And he's just a, you know,
That's
music
the
theory
helm,
genius.
Yeah, you want like a mad scientist.
Yeah, he's one of those.
He's
Perfect
fully the
description
mad
for him.
scientist.
Yeah, he'd arrive at like 9 a.m. and he wouldn't eat all day.
He'd bring his
sit there with his
own
bottle of
little
water.
canteen of water.
Yeah,
And
he
maybe
wouldn't
like a
leave
Cliff
his seat
bar.
for like 9 hours.
But every
or
day it's like, oh, do you want to come get lunch? No, I had a big breakfast. Every single day. It's like, what are you eating for breakfast?
He eats a raw, like jalapeno pepper every single day.
Jalapeno.
I believe it's pronounced. I believe it's pronounced jalapeno.
A
I believe, yeah,
jalapeno.
it's a jalapeno.
He eats a
it
raw one every morning, and I
Yeah.
thought that was madness, but apparently that's more normal than I thought.
Yeah.
I want to see one of these jalapenos.
Well, we call them jallops when we hang out, so it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, when we hang out, not in Publix and the internet. No one knows what that means.
Jalapeno. Yeah.
You know, I can't talk about this album without talking about Sam Carter and talking about
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, from Architects and that particular track. The opening of that track too, huge opening, big riff. It reminds you like a early like Ignite or like Rise Against song almost, just the way it comes out of the gate. Talk about the decision to bring Sam in, how you got him involved, what it was like, if you knew from the beginning that track in particular was going to have another voice on it, just the whole thing.
Well, you know, we were kind of mulling over the idea of guest spots, and initially we had said, we weren't going to do it because, you know, we didn't just want to throw someone in there for the sake of it and just, you know, have a guest spot and have like another pop punk vocalist or whatever. Like if we were going to have a guest spot, we wanted it to be interesting. And that could have been a rapper, it could have been a pop singer, it could have been whatever, as long as the part was there for it. And then Danny wrote Don't Wait, and it was this, you know, like Sam was saying about influences, you know, we all have very different but similar influences. And yeah, Danny's very heavily influenced, and so he wrote that song, and, you know, we were listening through to it, and kind of the idea just immediately struck of like, hey, Sam Carter on this would be amazing. Like, you know, 2 British bands, very supportive of each other, and yeah, kind of just collabing in a good crossover as well. Like, you know, rather than just keeping it within the genre and it being a pop punk thing, you know, we crossed the genre a little bit, and yeah, it turned out great. And he didn't just do the guest part. He didn't just like put his bit down. He like, you know, he actually contributed ideas instead of just like repeating the chorus or whatever. He called it back to the bridge and like did that whole vocal part and was like wanted to layer up vocals as well. And it was just yeah, he didn't just like walk in.
He was really committed to it.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
He got involved. He didn't just like step into the booth and just like one take it and walk out. Like he
Show up and hand you a USB drive with his vocals.
Yeah.
Like, no, he was there doing the work, putting the time in.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Well, you can feel it on the track, man. It's a solid track. We're going to turn it over to audience Q&A in just a second, but one thing I love to do, especially when I got a whole band here, is did somebody just squeal with joy? Did somebody? By the way, no?
I think it was over
All right.
here somewhere.
I heard like right? You heard that. There was an audible like squeak noise. We're going to do our best. We're going to get to it. Yeah.
Don't worry.
But one thing I love to do, especially when I get the whole group here and we have a new release like this, I want to go down the line real quick, and I want you to tell me a favorite moment or instance on the record, but it can't be one that you did. It's something that somebody else on the record did. Okay. So either like your favorite, like, oh, the triplets and this drum fill here were amazing. Just something. Pick out something somebody else on the record did that you love.
I need a second. For that.
I know one of mine.
I've got mine as
you
well.
go.
It's probably my favorite song. It's my favorite part in Bloom. Just that end bit, with the sub drop, like it's like this like panning sub drop thing, and the bass like. The little bass ride is sick. I love that part. I love that part. So yeah, that's one of my favorite parts. Yeah, for sure.
Mine is the chugs in Motion Sickness. 'Cause that wasn't
I
there.
knew you were going to say
Yeah,
that.
that wasn't there when we wrote the song originally, and we were like, we need to.
He loves a good
space.
riff,
What should we
by the
put
way.
in?
I remember when I came. Do you
Let's
remember
put
when
some chugs in. I was like,
when I
We
came
had some
to the-
crazier ones
definitely.
in that to begin
We should
with.
When I
like
came to the house
acapella
to
in
LA
the
the
car.
first time, and you were all like, "Danny, come and listen to
Listen
this.
to this.
Chugs in it."
Yeah.
Play it. And I was
Yeah.
just like,
There
"Oh
are
my
a few
god."
greater moments, I think, in life than that moment when you come together and you hear something you worked on for like the first time.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You gotta check this out. We just did this
Yeah.
thing.
The best reaction I had to it was I just laughed because it's just like this is
It's
just
funny.
so
It is funny.
I think-
My favorite part is the lead in that little breakdowny bit in Heavy Lies.
One of
love
mine,
that.
which I was going to say was also Heavy Lies, is after that bit, that drum fill.
I was literally going to say the same thing. You know, that one. There it
It's got that
is.
reverse
That
snare.
one.
No. The
Is
one,
that what you're talking
the
about?
one after the one right at the end of the song.
Yeah, with
Oh,
the
I'm on
reverse
about a
snare.
Yeah,
different
with
one.
the reverse
that
snare.
one's
bit's
Oh yeah,
so
that
sick.
bridge bit is hard.
Yo, the one after the first chorus, though. You know what I mean? Before the second verse, it's like. Here it goes
Chops, mate.
again. I was like, when I heard that,
Oh yeah, I know which one. Yeah.
yeah, that's a beat.
Awesome. Well, perfect, guys. Thank you so much for that. We're gonna turn it over to the audience now. I want to take as many questions as we can. First one's
Right.
gonna be right. There we are. Of course.
Hello, what's up?
Of course, it's you.
So sorry.
Hello.
Because I've seen you every other day this week, what's the craziest fan experience you've had that isn't me?
Just ever.
Ever. Scary ones? I don't know.
I've got one.
I've got a
supposed
very
to
good
say
one.
This year where that girl just handed us her dog and walked away.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It was like a beautiful dog, too. And
a little
More
pit
like
bull.
services.
do you know what's crazy? It was on Warped Tour, and I found out later that day that like I was in catering and I saw Lisa Brownlee walking around with
No.
it, and they kept the dog. They like gave it to
They-
social.
They
dog
took it off the
services.
go
They had-
because
did they?
They like get, they had the
I'm pretty sure they
channel
had to give
people
it
there,
back.
They
had to
did
give it
in the
back.
end.
Give it back.
but they
yeah.
like started the whole process
Yeah,
of taking
okay.
it away.
Yeah.
From
And it happened during a signing. We were doing a signing. She goes, "Oh, I'll be back in 30 minutes," and just gave us a dog and walked off. And we were like,
Never came back.
Never came back.
Sit down with that.
Came to Warped with her puppy and just gave it to us.
Yeah.
Boosted. Well, she wanted to sell it initially.
Yeah, did she try and sell it?
She was selling it to,
Yeah, yeah,
trying to
so-
sell it to a few bands.
Yeah, she comes up to me and I was like, "Oh, I love your dog. Can I have it?" And she was like, "Yeah, $300. It's yours." I was like,
what?
Who did,
Okay.
Your follow-up should have been, who did you steal this dog
And
from?
then,
Yeah.
and then she
That
was,
was not her dog.
And then she was like, "Oh, you can chill with the dog for a bit if you want." And I was like, "Cool." And she was like, "Okay." She took her bag off and gave it me. She's like, "Here's its food. Here's its water. Here's everything." I was
Was it like toy and stuff?
Yeah.
You don't need to
What?
schedule him food when you're chilling with something.
Yeah.
That is a commitment
Yeah.
you just walked into.
That was a pretty crazy one.
Strangest one for me though, like on tour, I'd say was that time in Canada. Do you remember that guy?
Oh,
God.
give me something.
Oh, wow.
Anything.
That guy was
I was
crazy.
getting
Yeah, that guy
changed
was
on the
wild.
bus after the show, so I was like pretty much naked.
Yeah,
on the bus.
can.
And the window, like the curtains at the front were like kind of open, but it was nighttime. And he was just like banging on the window at the front of the bus and stuff. And I was like, dude, I'm getting changed. Like, chill out. And I opened the door and he was just like, give me something, anything. Like, what? What do you want? Like, let me
I've
get
got a
you-
video of it on my phone somewhere. He was going sick
Yeah,
for like
he
a
was just going
while.
wild.
It was super awkward. We had to like call security.
What did you I was gonna say, what'd you give him to get him to leave? But I
Nothing.
guess
Danny
you
gave
got
him
it.
Good
Already.
tactic. Go away. It's all he
It's
got.
like knocking on. It's just like knocking on someone's front door of their house, and you just go, "Hi, can I have something?" It's like, no.
He was like being
fuck
such
off.
a dick about
Go
it
away.
It's
too. Like,
a pretty dangerous precedent to set.
Yeah, it wasn't
I guess.
even like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Yeah, not even
He
like,
was like-
hey, I love you guys. Do you mind if you like sign this or like something, you know, thing?
Give
Just,
me
no,
something.
Give me something.
Aggressively banging as
Yeah.
well. Like,
He was getting like really mad about it. He like got really like aggro with us, and he was like coming from this angle of like, you're being a dick because you won't give me something. It was like, give me something. What do you mean? And we
I
were
didn't even
like,
know you existed until 30 seconds ago.
yeah. I was like,
Now
bro,
know
I don't
you
know what
would
you're
think.
talking about. Like,
Very strange.
That's pretty awesome.
no.
Thank you for those stories. Our next
Maybe later.
question is right over here.
oh, there we go.
Hello. So as artists with different experiences and personalities, how did you kind of agree on this transition and this new sound? Did you ever disagree on kind of what you wanted these songs to say?
I mean, we didn't really like sit down and kind of like have this head-to-head meeting where we decided the sound. We just knew that like we'd just write whatever we wrote, and if we liked the way it sounded, we'd use it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like a super conscious choice. Like, okay, it's time to change,
Right,
kind of
this.
thing.
I think everyone just trusted each other, to be honest.
Yeah, it was just like if it sounds cool, then we'll run with it. And
I think what happened a lot as well is obviously we've all got a lot older now since we started the band, so I think just tastes within it change as a collective because, I don't know, we've been going for like 5 years now, and a couple of us were teenagers when we started, so obviously your tastes are going to be wildly different then to what they are now.
as
Oh,
well,
I think that impacted it a lot.
there were so many ideas written, so it was kind of like, oh, here's 20, 25 songs. There's a lot of emotion that needs to get carried out on this record lyrically. So what songs is Ben or Phil or whatever going to connect with on these? And that kind of also did that. And then once we had like a Dropbox filled with all these songs that all of us could listen to, we'd kind of sort of go, okay, these ones are definite ones, these ones, and we'd all kind of be on the same page anyway. So that helped for sure.
Yeah, it didn't clash too much. It was pretty chill.
Yeah.
Was the idea of the peace and the panic did it drive the narrative at all? Did you like, well, we need this many peace, this
That
many
actually
panic?
came quite a bit later.
Yeah, okay.
Because originally, the working title for the album was Where Do We Go When We Go, which ended up being a song title. And it was like, not till, I don't know, at least halfway in that became an option. I remember, Ben was doing the lyrics to Motion Sickness and had that part with the, between the peace and the panic. I don't remember who it was or whatever.
I think Ben said it while I was in the studio.
Yeah.
Sat there and he just said, "What do you think of the peace and the panic for the?"
And I think we all just were like,
It was just like,
yo, that's
yeah,
it. We really liked
alright.
that. And it
Yeah,
felt pretty...
It sounds a hell of a lot better than Where Do We Go When We Go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, as an album title, Neck Deep's new album, Where Do We Go When We go?
Bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, it's a bit like,
You
it's
get
a bit
caught
of a
up in it.
mouthful, yeah. So
Yeah.
the peace and the panic, the alliteration and as well, there's way more meaning behind it in terms of like,
Yeah, it instantly
Yeah.
felt like it summarized the album, and also felt like you could do a lot with the artwork, which turned out to be great.
Yeah.
anyway.
The artwork, yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit, but I also wanted to leave time for everyone to ask their questions. And we've got time for 2 more, right? Cool, I've committed you to that. So now, real
There we
quick,
go.
the artwork. Jess, who did you guys get to do the artwork?
This is kind of your
and-
thing.
It's a dude called Ryan Besh who goes by like the artist name Your Cinema on Instagram. And what we've always kind of done with albums is we've sent them like loose ideas, but we've always said like, we'll give you the title, just draw the title. Yeah. Just because I feel that like creatively, an artist can do a lot more if they don't have restrictions put on them. It's what we did with Life's Not Out to Get You as well. We just sent the name over, and then first draft was the thing he sent back, and we were like, okay, that's
gave
it.
him
Nailed it.
some direction with the tightrope analogy, because that's actually, that whole analogy is from The Grand Delusion.
Yeah. And also the back cover was the first thing he sent over, and we were like, that's sick, but like maybe something different for the front. But it was kind of just left up to him, really. he killed it. He got like all like the little references to older albums and stuff snuck in everywhere. So.
Yeah, older fans will definitely notice a couple of little Easter eggs in there from previous records. So.
But yeah,
You definitely nailed it. It's definitely one of those albums that if you get like the vinyl or whatever, you like put it on your wall. Like it's a really cool piece of art, not just like awesome. All right, I heard we have 2 more. Next one's gonna be right here.
Here we go.
Hey. What was the most fun or craziest song to write on the album?
Ooh.
One of the most fun, I don't know.
Tell you the least fun song to track on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can tell you a lot.
The opposite end.
Doing
What was
Heavy
the least
Lies. Heavy Lies was, I was like ripping my hair out in the studio. I'd like get halfway through it, listen back, and I'd be like, this is the worst thing I've ever played in my life. I just keep going round and round in circles to the point where I was like, him and, so Ben and Mike would come and do drums with me like once a week. And then like every half an hour, they'd have to like come into the main room of the studio and be like, look, just chill. You're all good. And I'd be like, I can't play drums anymore. I just can't. Eventually it came out, but the thing with like tracking drums is because it's so physical, you're getting frustrated and then you're getting more tired and more sweaty, and you're just like, this is just a nightmare.
You tracking to click too or anything?
Yeah.
That's hard to do. Yeah.
And obviously, well, for me as well, like when I write drums, I like to be just completely put on the spot. I like to just sit there, be confronted with a track, and just go, because like my parts just come out naturally, just then and there.
Yeah.
So like, also sometimes that can backfire when you just completely like, there's nothing in your head. But yeah, like as these guys were saying, like some of my best parts ended up coming out on the end of that song as well. So it worked. But
In Bloom was one of the most fun to track because obviously we were sat on that song for so long, like the first half. I mean, we finished it before the studio anyway, but we were kind of sat on that so long, and we had other ideas to add to it and other layers and things that we just didn't do on the like pre-pro demo we were going to do in the studio. So trying to build that track up to what it was going to be was kind of the most fun, and kind of like, I want to hear this one done so bad. That and Parachute were like the most fun to kind of
Sick,
to get in.
it was a jam.
All right, we have time for one more question, and it is going to be right here. No pressure.
It is.
How does it feel like going through like the press tour and being able to like meet the fans like close up and like that?
It's great.
Feels sick. I mean, like, you know, we're not like a big band in that. We're not some like Taylor Swift thing where we never get to meet fans. Like, you can literally just come to one of our shows and meet us. So we're pretty used to that kind of thing anyway. Like, I mean, I know we've literally seen you guys like 4 times this week. Like, you know, we've been on Warped Tour all summer, which is literally just us walking around, watching bands, hanging out. So for us, it just comes really naturally. It's just, you know, it's not a strange feeling for us.
Just like to be able to give fans the opportunity to experience something different, you know, and, you know, past the show and, you know, maybe get to have something a little bit more personal. And we're always doing things with fans in mind, and we're always thinking, you know, what will people enjoy, you know. What exactly, we can't tell you. But, you know, we've always got ideas floating around for what we can do to kind of engage people and, you know, get a little bit close to the fans, because we've always done it. You know, we were a small band for a long time, and we were always touring in small venues. And, yeah, like Phil said, it's very, very natural. We've kind of done it since the start. We've always made a big deal of, you know, meeting our fans and giving them the opportunity to experience some more Neck Deep. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you lot weren't out buying records, coming to shows, like there'd be no point in us doing it, because there'd be nobody there. So,
Well, for sure, I think they're going to be. We already established before you came out here, this room is filled with pre-orders, so everyone here is getting the record.
Thank you.
Those tuning in at home, the record, if you haven't pre-ordered yet, you can go do it right now, but it comes out tomorrow. No better time. Guys, before I let you go, I know you're itching to say goodbye here, but before I let you go, records tomorrow. Anything you can tease for the immediate future? Any more videos? Any fun, exciting things to look forward to? What should we be keeping an eye out for?
Who knows? Honestly, we're at the point now where when this album comes out, who knows? We're hoping that it does some big things for us, and when the album's out, I think that's when it's all gonna reveal itself. I think that's
We're
when
about to do 8 nights at Madison Square Garden.
surprise.
Except they're already sold out. Sorry.
Yeah, no barrier.
We couldn't do one.
No barrier. No barrier. Show.
No barrier.
Madison Square
Madison Square Garden.
Got it. All right, well then, just to recap, who knows what's next? New album tomorrow, 8-night residency at the Garden. Guys, one more time, make some noise, Neck Deep.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Very much.
Thank you.